I hope that everyone is doing well, and that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy, and that we all stay that way. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I can't say how much inspiration I get from this, and I know that our entire team gets from the turnout and response that you all have given. It fills us with incredible hope to know that so many people care about uAspire and care about the students who we serve and who've been deeply affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This crisis exposes the injustices that we have been fighting against for quite a while, but it puts an even brighter light on those injustices. The economic devastation that we've already seen with so many folks, nearly 17 million folks applying for unemployment, has certainly put America's class divide on full display, but certainly has pointed to deep inequalities across racial lines, geographically, and others. Before the pandemic, 3 out of 4 college students were employed, and many of those actively seeking work to balance the cost of college. But with the skyrocketing rates of unemployment and job cutbacks that we've seen student incomes and family incomes greatly diminished. In addition to that, prior to this, 1 in 2 students faced some degree of food or housing insecurity. And now those struggles are even greater as we've seen residence halls close, dining halls close, and food pantries located on campuses no longer available to students. When students once might have benefited from parental support of some level, we now see them being called to serve and respond to their family's needs in ways that are greater than ever before. Students are working to evolve their understanding of learning, having to devote time not only to classwork, but to a set of tasks and activities that are outside of the norm for them and that require access to internet, technical hardware that they just don't have reliably, which is further complicating their ability to earn the degrees that they're aiming towards in an efficient and an affordable way. We've seen high school seniors choosing colleges or considering colleges that are less expensive and closer to home as they've entered into this pandemic. Others are thinking about reducing and going part-time or delaying enrollment so that they can be of support to their families. And a particular concern of ours is that students from low-income families who were sent home this semester may never return. And what we know, many of us on this call know, is that when students start higher education but don't finish, they face some of the most difficult and challenging outcomes of all. The final thing I'll say is that I had the privilege to sit on a Massachusetts task force on school closures last year, and one thing I can say will be unavoidable from this pandemic is that we're going to see post-secondary school closures in the near and not so distant future, which will certainly create a different landscape for students and likely reduce the options that they have, particularly low-income students have, among the choices of schools that they can take on. Amidst all of this, I can say that we are incredibly grateful that uAspire is in the position that we are to serve students. Quite frankly, our mission is as important today as it's ever been. And thanks to our investment in virtual technologies that allow us to continue to support students, which a number of you have helped us make possible with your investments. And just to name a few that have been among the most significant supporters of our our virtual advising work, the State Street Foundation, the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, the Salesforce Foundation, the Edwin Gould Foundation, and the Heckscher Foundation for Children. Because of your belief in our vision for serving more students at scale, uAspire's work has been able to carry on in this period with optimism that we can continue to serve students and a real single-minded purpose for ensuring that students make it through this critical time of great uncertainty and financial challenge with as much support as we can provide. Your dedication to countering the problems of college affordability broadly and your generosity on that mission inspires us each and every day. And we truly believe, and I think the last few weeks have shown, as many of you have rallied to our side to support us with additional resources, that we simply have the best supporters, the best board of directors, and the best community partners that an organization could ever have. The last thing I'll say is that I truly love this organization, its mission, its ambition, and most importantly, the people that are connected to this organization. As a first-generation college graduate myself, it has been in my absolute life's honor to lead uAspire over these 15 years, and I feel deeply privileged to be its leader in this moment in time, to lead it through this beginning phase of uncertainty that we and our communities are facing. We're, as you'll see, and as I'll explain a little bit more deeply, we are responding to this crisis significantly. We were fortunate to be already deeply engaged in serving students virtually using our text-based advising, and we've been honing our virtual delivery model for nearly a decade, since 2012, actually. So unlike many nonprofits, we've not experienced a full disruption in our services. We're incredibly grateful for that, and we remain well connected to our students and to our partners during this time. Certainly, we've had to adapt and learn, though, and we continue to stay true to our mission and meet the pressing needs that our students have. So with all that as helpful context, I'd love to share with you a little bit about how we're rising to the challenge in the three facets of our work: our advising work, our training work, and our policy and systems change work. Starting with advising, safely from their homes, uAspire's advisors have continued to support nearly 12,000 students in Massachusetts, New York, and the San Francisco Bay Area. And as we all know, those are geographies that have been hit especially hard by the virus reaching our shores. With their schools and colleges closed, our students who already had an uphill climb in achieving their dreams face new and compounded struggles with financial insecurity, adapting to online learning, unemployment, housing security, access to healthy or any food at all. Over the last several weeks, our daily advisor and student conversations have shifted pretty significantly to cover things like securing refunds for housing or meal plans, how to secure work-study wages while students are not working, finding access to reliable Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, surprisingly, because colleges are still requiring paper forms for students and even requiring that those forms be notarized by a notary public. So as you can see, there's been a pretty significant degree of shifts that our students have had to encounter during this time. And because so many of our young people are succeeding at getting into college, on top of all that, our high school seniors are getting critical support to understand their financial aid offers from colleges and to request appeals to change their income and their income situation based on unemployment in their families related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well to complete the verification process. But through it all, we've been gaining incredible inspiration from our students. And one of our advisors, Maya, shared with us that even though our students are facing great struggles, they're incredibly resilient. And it's that resilience that drives us to continue to serve our students day after day. In terms of our training and partnership work, our team is working hard to meet the pressing needs of counselors and professional staff at schools and nonprofits who are helping students navigate this time. Our college affordability training continues across the country via webinar. By the end of this month, we'll have trained the California Student Opportunity and Access Program, the College Advising Corps, Michigan Works, TextCan, the University of Washington Gear Up program, and many others. By doing what we can do to support our school partners, we've also launched a financial aid help desk to support our counselors and our partner schools with the ever-changing financial aid circumstances. And we've leveraged our virtual technology and data sources to enable one of our high school districts to communicate critical information to their seniors via text. We've also shared our resources and our best practices in an open source format. And some of the examples of that have included a set of student-facing how-to videos that we've developed. We've held a free webinar for 108 high school counselors on guiding college-bound students through the summer. And we're helping our peer organizations with deploying virtual programming for their first time so that they can continue to support their students. And finally, on a policy front, because there continues to be and will be even more opportunities to improve policy and systems, our policy and knowledge teams are actively engaging with our coalitions and other national experts to assess and navigate the fast evolving higher ed affordability environment and advocate for necessary student-centered policy change. Our policy team is engaging congressional offices, providing recommendations on the stimulus bills. We've signed onto 3 coalition letters on federal and state levels for what is needed for students to navigate this crisis. And our own uAspire Student Advocacy Fellows, who are 14 college students from Massachusetts, California, and Pennsylvania, are navigating enormous challenges. As media requests for interviews come in, fellows are sharing their experiences to highlight the need for policies that ensure students can meet their basic and educational needs with any available resources. Our research report, Beyond the Bill, The Hidden Hurdles of Indirect Expenses, was completed just last month. However, we've tentatively delayed the release until June. But the issue of indirect expenses, those hidden costs of college that include textbooks and course materials, transportation, food beyond the meal plan, housing for off-campus students, and so much more, is particularly relevant at this time. Indirect expenses make up more than half the cost of college, but without clear information from colleges, students are often left in the dark until they're struggling to cover them in real time. And beginning next month, our student policy fellows will be doing outreach to federal and state legislators. Our advocacy fellows will use their personal stories as well as the report's findings and policy recommendations to advocate for system-level solutions that give students a better understanding of the costs beyond the college bill and ways to cover those costs. During this public health crisis, we're working to ensure that students are able to meet their basic needs, participate in classes, and stay on track to college or to their degree. The widespread job losses and resulting financial insecurity is causing educational disruptions that will have long-lasting consequences, not only for individuals, but also for their families and our communities across the country. Before I finish, I want to say a brief word about how uAspire is navigating all of this as an organization. For the very near term, we're fortunate to be in a financial position. We were in a financial position heading into this downturn brought by the coronavirus pandemic. We've been reaching out to many of you on this call for support, and as I said earlier, many of you have answered the call, and I'm incredibly grateful for the additional resources that you've brought, the flexibility that you've shown, and the collaboration that you've encountered and that you've encouraged. Like all organizations, we're taking every step that we can to minimize costs and have begun to contingency plan given the incredible amount of uncertainty that lies ahead. We're doing everything we can to ensure that uAspire is in a strong position to continue to serve our students because the needs that they have now will continue to persist for weeks and months and likely years to come, and we hope to be there for them as the implications of this crisis continue.